It's Monday, the 27th of May, 2024. It's also Children's Day as well. Good morning to you and welcome on board. Of course, it's a brand new week, and of course, we're checking out some of the headlines that are trending this morning. All right, my name is Gisire, and you're listening to the Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. We've got a lot of headlines to cover this morning. Of course, Sanisi Lamido had an altercation as being appointed as an emir of Kano. We'll check that out in just a moment. The construction of the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road will bring benefits that are more than imaginable. This is according to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is what he said on Sunday at the groundbreaking of the 700-kilometer highway at the Amadou Bello Way, Victoria Island, Lagos. Also, a former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Ibrahim Lamode, has died while undergoing a surgical procedure for kidney stones removal at a hospital in Egypt. He died on Sunday morning. Our hearts and prayers go out to his family. Now, on Thursday, the Supreme Court this Thursday will commence hearing of a suit which the federal government is challenging the unilateral, arbitrary, and unlawful removal of democratically elected local government chairmen by governors. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice AGF Lateef Fagbemi SAN filed the suit a week ago. 3 people were killed in a night attack by gunmen in the Akboha community in the Afikpo local government area of Ebonyi State. Some residents sustained varying degrees of injuries during the assault, which occurred on Saturday night. Now, 3 persons were on Sunday confirmed dead and 7 injured in a collapsed mosque on Yusuf Street, Mushin, Lagos State. Men of the Nigerian Police, Fire and Rescue Service and LASMA were on ground at Mahinat Mosque to rescue the victims. Supporters of the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero, yesterday staged a peaceful demonstration demanding his return. Some youths in Rano Emirate also yesterday protested the dethronement of Alhaji Kabiru Muhammad Inua, popularly known as Autan Bawo, from his position as the first-class Emir of the Emirates. This is in line with the Emirate repeal law that was signed by the governor of the state, which reinstated Lamido Sanusi as the emir of Kano. Now, in another news as well, gunmen have reportedly kidnapped some travelers in Akoko of Ondo State, and it was learned that the victims were traveling in an 18-seater bus when the hoodlums attacked and dragged the victims into the bush to an unknown destination. All right, in Kogi State, the Kogi State Police Command has said 2 of the abducted students of Confluence University of Science and Tech, COSTECH, Osara, have been killed. Speaking with NANS on Sunday, Bertrand Onoha, the State Police Commissioner, described the killing of the 2 students by their abductors as unfortunate. Well, the PDP also made a statement over the course of the weekend saying APC did not work for their victory. They're talking about the reasons for Oyo PDP's overwhelming victory in the April 27th local government elections. Well, we'll get into all that in just a moment. But there's been a tussle in the Kano Emirates. Bayero supporters protested as the Sanusi meets district heads. The federal government also is filing a suit against 36 governors over the local government funds, and it'll begin this week. The federal government has approached the Supreme Court with a suit seeking to compel governors of the 36 states of the Federation to grant full autonomy to the local governments in their domain. It was filed by the AGF, and the federal government is urging the Apex Court to issue an order prohibiting state governors from unilateral, arbitrary, and unlawful dissolution of democratically elected local government leaders for local governments. Well, we'll find out just what exactly the thoughts are on this matter in just a moment. Do stick around for that. But for now, we'll check out what's trending after this break. All right, in a review of just what the governors are doing, we saw different, pardon me, not governors now, the members of the cabinet of the president, that's the ministers. Well, we're hearing different things that they have to say about their particular ministry. This one here is from David Umahi. He said that President Tinubu brought concrete roads to bear in Nigeria. Let's check it out.
His Excellency, the President of Senate, Senate Cost, the Chairman of CCACC, and the National Assembly members, the SSA. I will not go into the merits of this road, but I was in Lagos. I'm also a Lagosian, and I can't describe the state of the roads before this reconstruction better than what Alhaji Aliko did, and of course the Deputy Governor of Lagos State. But I know I was once trapped in that hold up for more than 8 hours. 8 hours, no movement. And that was a very terrible moment because we were all trying to go and catch a flight. And you can imagine the loss, but that loss cannot be compared to what Aliko lost by the reason of that bad road. And so today we have not just a reconstructed road, but we have a road built on concrete, reinforced concrete. And I want Nigerians to take a look at that technology. It's not just a main road, it's a road that is built to last for more than 50 to 100 years. And if you look at the road, I'm not sure that you will admit any kind of asphalt works in your place, because you cannot be sure on the durability of the asphalt road. And so we are celebrating that road today because it was well done and because a new technology that is very suitable to our environment has been introduced.
He said a new technology. I mean, this is really, really crazy. It's interesting that at 2024, we're still celebrating roads. We're still celebrating the construction of roads. Now, also, the reconstruction of Apapa Oworan Shoki or Jota Expressway is a great feat. This is according to Gotulak Babio, still talking about this particular road that David Umahi is talking about. Concrete roads is a great feat. As a Nigerian, I wonder what exactly these ministers think, whether we're supposed to be celebrating roads in 2024. This is over 50 years of democracy and we are still celebrating construction of roads. Shouldn't that be a given at this point? It's like saying you came to work. We should celebrate you for doing your job. Really, really interesting. Still in the news, we have David Umahi talking about the coastal highway being an environmentally friendly project. Let's listen.
And so we have the ESIA well prepared along the gazetted right of way. But we are listening government. And if we had shared that, some people would have even died before their properties were saved. So it is now that we are sure of our right of way, that is when we can share, such ESIA document.
So do you have a timing framework for when that will be shared? Because this project has caused a lot of alarm with environmentalists. People are rightly concerned about their properties. However, the climate, the coastal highway is impacting and will impact the environment, wildlife, the coastal ecosystem, and many parts of this countries. So therefore, it is important that we see what impact that will have.
CNN, the life of a man is more important than the life of a fish. So I have to save the lives of my people.
So respectfully, I disagree. The climate concerns are of great concern for the world. The president himself was at COP28 talking about how seriously he's taking climate concerns.
Yes.
So therefore, I think this is equally important.
Very, very important. Yeah. But we have to save the lives of our people first.
I'm wondering what Mr. David Umahi means by saving the lives of our people. Well, we'll get into that in just a moment. Still in what, who said what, we have on the news, the MS Sanusi, NNPP, and Kano politics. What exactly is playing out? That Nigerian politicians should stop meddling in the affairs of traditional institutions. This is according to NNPP spokesman Ladipo Johnson. Let's take a listen.
Mr. President. But when he was governor, that's when we saw, well, people say that, people much older than I am, say that we had even the problems with Action Group, NCNC, Alafin, Onion Fife during Awolowo's time or whatever. Unfortunately, it seems that Nigerian politicians always seem to want to interfere with the traditional institutions. And it is something that should be stopped or reduced to a minimum. When you get people, the politicians come in and you have a ballet, oh, I'm upgrading you to an Oba, you have to support my party, etc., etc., etc. That's how it happens. And the traditional institutions, those there cannot do anything without going to see the Commissioner for Culture and Tourism or local governments, etc. So you've tied them together. They do not really have a role within the Constitution. And to be fair, when I was reading the theory of it all, a proper republic does not recognize traditional institutions. Everyone must be equal. So they must go through, you must vote for them, etc., etc. That is a proper republic. But we have something mixed in Nigeria. We have that cultural background. We adopted what came in from the colonialists, and we tried to merge everything together. So I think that we have to keep learning and make sure that we have, maybe when you have constitutional amendments, make sure that the tenure of these traditional rulers is more protected, better protected rather, forgive my English, is better protected under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right. Well, that is the voice of the NNPP spokesperson, Ladipo Johnson, talking about the role of traditional rulers in today's democracy and how we have politicians who are taking advantage of some of the traditional rulers in our country. Well, we'll speak with Rufai Oseni in just a moment to try to find out what he thinks about any of our headlines today. Yes, we'll try to reach out to him in just a moment. Stick around. All right. Good morning, Mr. Rufai.
Bless you. Happy Children's Day. We're all children today. In fact, I'm still a child. I'm my parents' child, so I'm my parents' only child.
Okay. Happy Children's Day to you, Mr. Rufai. Happy Children's Day.
Bless you. Yes.
All right, we're getting on with the conversation. Of course, Kano State will definitely see some repercussions from that repeal law that was signed by the governor, Abba Yusuf. So yesterday we saw protesters and supporters of the Emir of Kano, the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayero. On Sunday, they took to the streets of the city calling for his reinstatement and demanding that the governor comply with a recent court order. The situation is getting dicey at this point. What exactly is your take on this?
I mean, it's the sad reality what our politics has become as we speak. What is going on? There was a law that had existed for so many years that Ganduje repealed, and Ganduje has constantly come to say he's letting Ganduje go because of this organization. A new government comes and repeals the law, then the next thing we have a court case. the court case takes an interesting dimension because all of a sudden, an ex parte was given from abroad. Then, the next thing that happens is the police and the military brings in a deposed emir, which normally, after an emir has been deposed, banishment takes place, but they bring him in, keep him in another palace. So you have two emirs, and Kano is rancorous as we speak. And you're wondering, how long are we going to continue this confusion for? And Kano is in a state of flux. So where do we want to go from here? What do we want to do? How do we want to make things pan out? What do we truly need for our country? How do we make it work?
Mr. Rufai, I just want to understand, right? Why exactly was the law repealed in the first place? Of what importance is it? Is the Emir of
No,
Kano...
there was no reason. It was just politics. Ganduje wanted to be high-handed, and you know his political impasse spans very long with Kwankwaso. And this was the same Ganduje that he was aides to Kwankwaso. In fact, he was with Kwankwaso almost all the time. But they fought, so they turned their fights amongst themselves. And the next thing, you know, when you are having a political fight with somebody, say, okay, I'm going to punish people that are close to him. So Sanusi was the soft target. And the Sanusi, you know, will keep speaking his mind. So that's just it. And the back and forth happened. And we've been reeling from this for a while.
For some reason, we've decided to drag traditional rulers into the politicking of the country. I just wanted to get your take on this because constitutionally, the traditional rulers are not, they're not different people. We're all one Nigeria, where we're all democratically, we all have the same powers, quote unquote, by democracy, right? So,
no. Yeah, I guess you go ahead.
yes. So, why exactly do we keep involving traditional rulers in our politics?
Guess you're not even getting the point. Because of politics now, they are destroying the family. Sanusi and the other guy are cousins. They are from the same family. These people grew up together. Nasiru, the brother for Aminu. Aminu's brother. Nasiru, which is Emir of Bichi, was best friends with Sanusi when they were growing up. They are about the same age. The two emirs are about the same age. Sanusi is 62, Aminu is 62. Nasiru is just like a couple of years younger than them. That's the emir of Bichi. So probably the only one older was supposed to be the one that was that was Sanusi Ado Bayero. That was the one that was supposed to be the crown prince. That was the one that was supposed to take over from Ado Bayero when he died. But you know, then Sanusi Lamido was put in. So they are all family. They all grew up. In fact, they even intermarried because of their lineage. They intermarried. So for me, I'm seeing a family being disintegrated and political actors pushing the puppet string as a family is being ripped apart. As a family is being ripped apart. Friendships are being destroyed. Families, cousins are fighting. The family is divided over the throne. Two emirs in one Kano. And they say it's only one Serki they have in Kano, but today we have two emirs, two Serkis. What is this country turning into because of politicians? And that's why I say my prayer is that politicians should have the heart of children, pure, to be able to make this country grow. Because for them, it's about their own power. And that's what's playing out in Kano.
All right. What's the way forward right now? Because there's a court order, right? And there's a little bit of chaos there. So what exactly
the way forward is more chaos and tension, because what the only ex parte is going to do is that it's going to they are waiting till the 3rd of June when they can hear both sides. That's what an ex parte gives you the chance to do, to hear both sides. After hearing both sides, then they will now adjourn. Then the court case will start. A legal tussle will start. Except they make a decision, the legal tussle will continue.
All right.
The legal tussle will continue.
Okay, let's move on from there and look at the legal tussle between the federal government and the 36 state governors over local government funds. It's beginning this week. The federal government has approached the Supreme Court with a suit seeking to compel governors of the 36 states of the Federation to grant full autonomy to the local government in their domain.
I mean, I think the federal government should put their foot on the ground. Enough of this thing the state governors do. The Lagos, the what's it called? The local government will have full autonomy. And I just hope this is followed. The local government have not been able to perform effectively because there's been no autonomy. And this has caused a stir and caused a lot of problems. So please, they should allow them perform.
All right, we'll watch and see how that plays out and how the suit will go, because engaging 36 governors in a suit, that's going to be a long one. Of course, the governors are going to fight back because you're taking their power away from them. So we're going to see a lot of back and forth with that. All right, moving on to another story. We have the construction of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road will bring benefits that are more than imaginable. This is what the president said at the groundbreaking of the 700-kilometer highway at Ahmadu Bello Way via Lagos. It's supposed to bring, it will boost 30 million businesses. When we have the president saying this, we also had David Umahi saying this as well. You begin to wonder, are they just trying to reel out numbers? Because we have failed.
I think they're just reeling out numbers. If the president said to boost 30 million businesses, really? Does he know the number of SMEs we have in Nigeria? So that means it will boost all the SMEs in Nigeria. Are you okay? Let's be realistic. So they're just bringing out numbers. So what about the number of SMEs that were damaged along that coastline? Businesses worth over $200 million that were impacted, that their revenue flows were impacted. People like Landmark now have to start looking for other opportunities in Gambia. They just started up a deal of $5 million US. So 30 million, I think we have barely about 40 million SMEs. So are you saying it's going to boost 90% of the SMEs in the country? Really? No, don't just reel out numbers for the sake of reeling out numbers. How about the businesses that are damaged with heavy valuation? How about loans that have to be repaid? How about loan calls that are happening as we speak? People are meeting their business financiers, that their lives are in tatters. Has he thought of all of that? I mean, he's just trying to seek justification. Justification doesn't cut it. People are suffering. People are in penury. People are in dire straits. It's hard on people.
All right.
And the next thing they're talking about, they want to do Badagry Sokoto. The funding for that. This has set us back 15 trillion loan. If you have to take this money as a line item out of a budget, do you know how much that is going to cost? How much is the budget? So less than 30 trillion. You're taking close to half of the budget anyway. It's not going to be one straight up line item.
Yes.
So, and this is the time the country is not even making revenue. So how are you going to get the revenue in? I think this should be the formative conversations.
Mr. Rufai, I'm trying to understand why road creation or construction of new roads is a priority for this particular administration, because we already have roads. Roads have never been our problem. We have roads from now till whenever. We have roads. It's not our problem. It's the maintenance of it all that is the issue. We have roads.
No, we don't have roads. I like to deal with things, but we don't have roads. Nigeria is spread across 923,000 square kilometers of land. We have less than 200,000 kilometers of road of that. That's not enough.
It's not enough. Mr. Rufai, the roads that we have.
Compare a country like the only different. No, hang on a minute. Let me finish, please. Compare with a country like Italy that's very lowly developed, that has like 600,000 square meters of land, that has about 400,000 square meters, very small. So, truth has to be said, we don't have roads. But what the argument is, shell money on new roads when you have not maintained the existing one. I think that's a better argument. But the slant of your argument, I say we have roads. We don't have roads. We don't have enough roads.
Okay.
So it's about prioritizing the existing ones we have, and that's what we are not doing enough. Then now you are trying to commission new roads. But it's not that we have enough roads. We still
Okay.
need to build a lot more road infrastructure.
Okay.
There's so many parts that need to be connected.
My actual
I mean,
concern.
take for instance for over 40 years, we talked about the second Niger Bridge. We just built the second Niger Bridge after it was first proposed in the 70s. The Sokoto Badagry Road they're talking about, they've been talking about that since the time of Shagari that we proposed it. We do need the infrastructure, but there's something called opportunity cost in economics. You do not have the money. You are not having the private investment coming in. Well, why don't you plow that money to fixing the pre-existing roads rather than shelling it out on bigger new projects? I think that's the argument. And that's one thing the government has failed at.
All right. My actual concern is, why then are we focusing on roads? We have the trains, right? We have trains, and we could actually, create more routes through the trains. So why are we putting money into an investment, not even an investment now, into an infrastructure that wouldn't directly translate to money, except we are paying tolls on the roads, right? Which, let's not even look at that. So if it's a train, we know that we're going to be raising money on that particular investment. So why then are we focusing a lot more on roads that would not directly affect the livelihood of Nigerians, especially those living in that particular area? Then we also have a lot of issues with our economy. Why aren't we focusing on stabilizing the naira, stabilizing the economy?
Because we lack the ability to prioritize, pure and simple. We lack the ability to prioritize. We major in minor, pure and simple. We major in minor things. And that's just it.
All right.
And because, the easiest way for politicians to show that they're doing something is to do infrastructure. They want something to show. Commissioning roads and everything, but not really impacting the people.
Hello.
I'm with you.
All right, so we have in the news Obasanjo tackling Tinubu on subsidy removal, the forex policy, and handling of the coup in Niger. And he's saying that that the president didn't properly handle a lot of things, especially with the economy, the forex policy, and all that. I don't know what your take is on this.
But it's 100% correct. It was speaking at my friend's colloquium, Paul Alaji, colloquium. I mean, I was supposed to be there myself, but because of many engagements, I couldn't make it. So we're speaking at Paul Alaji's colloquium. And it's spot on. I mean, we've always made those arguments. Tinubu just even took those decisions without even getting proper advice. He had not even set up a cabinet when he took. So there was no robust debate over those decisions before he took them. So when you don't have robust debate and all of that, what you have is you just invite penury and pain to the people. And that's what happened. So we're not surprised. Obasanjo is bang on.
All right, we'll watch and see how all of this drama plays out. We're waiting to see the ministers reel out some of their let's see, their scorecard. So far, we'll be waiting to see just how that plays out. Thank you so much, Mr. Rufai, for your time.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good one. To you listening, we will be back in a moment. Let's pay some bills. You can join the conversation on YouTube. It is at Voice of the People Abuja. Voice of the People Abuja. Go ahead and join us live on YouTube. Voice of the People Abuja. I'll be back in a moment. You're welcome back. This is still the front page review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Of course, we're trying to reach out to Mr. Larry Ogoego, who will help us through some of these headlines. Of course, you can join the conversation. We're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. Join us on YouTube, Voice of the People Abuja. You can also call in and let us know what you think about any of our headlines this morning. 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961. Good morning, Mr. Larry, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Justin. How are we today?
We're doing good. We're doing great. All right, let's get started with the former president, Obasanjo, talking about the handling of the coup in Niger, the subsidy removal and forex policies and all that. The former president tackled Tinubu's administration on poor handling of the flotation of the naira and every other economic decision that he's made so far. I don't know what your take is on this, but he said they are, or rather this particular administration has said, well, that is his personal opinion, he's entitled to that, but we don't want to reply him. What do you think about this?
Well, Obasanjo said his mind, and if the truth be told, what Obasanjo said is not out of place. That's what a lot of people, leaders and followers alike feel. And I think for once, the spokespersons of this administration realize that responding to Obasanjo will actually escalate the conversation. And come to think of it, what Obasanjo said, if you just want to put it simply, reflects the truth. They didn't do enough homework before dabbling into the floating of the naira. In fact, the floating of the naira, in my opinion, robbed us of whatever gains we should have enjoyed from the removal of subsidy. And the way the Niger coup was handled left a sour taste in my mouth personally, because the people in Niger actually pulled a fast one on ECOWAS. Ultimately, ECOWAS was just embarrassed because the whole posturing came to nothing, and it's in bad taste because the whole fiasco whittled down the power and influence and prestige of ECOWAS. And you can see that they could have probably told a different path. I mean, you don't just talk tough for the purpose of talking tough and create a lot of problems. And at the end of the day, you couldn't handle it, couldn't manage it. It means that they didn't do as much analysis as they should have done before embarking on that path. So what Obasanjo said is not out of place. And their position not to respond makes sense. I mean, for once, they are not talking too much, because sometimes you don't respond, not because the person doesn't know what he's saying, but because responding will bring that information to the fore, because it will become a debate. When you respond, we also talk about your response. So they decided to maintain, well, do I call it a dignified silence? I don't think there's nothing particularly dignified about this silence. It's a strategic silence. So that is what it is. Obasanjo spoke well. I don't always agree with him, but on this occasion, I agree with what he said.
All right, let's move on to another headline. We saw what played out in Kano State. This is just a confusing situation, right? Ganduje made the mistake, and is it a mistake now? He made the decision of deposing Sanusi, and now we're seeing his reinstatement. Of course, we saw the Kano Emirates move on from the deposition of Emir Sanusi at the time and move on into what they now had. Unfortunately, we're now seeing the other governor coming to repeal that particular law and then cause further chaos in Kano State. We saw the police and the army, their presence in Kano State just to maintain law and order and all of that. It just seems like a very, very messy situation that could have been avoided entirely. What's your take on it?
Yes, it could have been avoided by Ganduje not politicizing the stew of the Emir of Kano. That's a very prestigious traditional stool. How Ganduje descended to the level of dragging it into his personal differences with the Kwankwaso is something I don't understand. Beats my imagination. So I think if we want to apportion blame, we should place it squarely at the feet of Ganduje because he started the entire fiasco. And if the truth be told also, this idea of politicians whittling the powers of emirs and generally playing poker with emirates and chiefdoms, traditional rulers, is not good. Because traditional rulers are custodians of not only power but are custodians of tradition. They are highly respected by the people. So what has happened is that by the time Kwankwaso and his group came back to power, they decided to maintain the status quo sort of by reversing what Ganduje did. Ganduje did what he did basically to get back at his political enemies, in quotes. And of course, Sanusi Lamido was very outspoken and independent. So for Ganduje, it was a good riddance. But you can see now the shoe is on the other feet. And it's messy, basically because we have a very dysfunctional democracy. When Ganduje did his own manipulation, he had a political alignment with the center. So the transition was smooth. They even decided to banish the emir at that time. And there was no noise about it. Security agents didn't help the emir. Today, NNPP is not in alignment with the center. So they don't control the security apparatus. And that's why you see what we call the fiasco. But the truth is that Ganduje started the cycle of trying to use traditional tools to get back at his political opponents. And as it is, he lost out in terms of choosing a successor. And now you have another governor who thinks that what he did was wrong, and even the House of Assembly decided to revert to the old emir. It's interesting, but it's also distressing that politicians should be playing games with very important traditional tools. I hope that after now, we'll find a way to stop this madness. It's not only in the north. In the southeast, you see what they call autonomous communities. That is, they have bastardized and they generally made rubbish of the position of Iwe or the ruler of the leader, traditional leader of a town. Some communities have up to 200, some up to 300. That's some states rather. So politicians use those what they call autonomous communities in some states to whittle down the powers. This is something that happened in Kano basically, but with different approaches. I think we need to stop that because it's also affecting the people. So everybody is now His Royal Highness. If you go to a local government area, you have everybody parading himself as His Royal Highness. In fact, the Royal Highness title is so common now that many of them are now His Royal Majesty. They are inventing new names because there are too many persons that are saying that they were His Royal Highness. So it's not good for us as a people, both in terms of denigrating our cultural practices and in terms of politicians meddling into areas that they should just rather leave alone. Ganduje probably didn't see it coming, but it is here. And I pray that the people of Kano will handle this with a level of maturity. The House of Assembly has spoken. The governor has spoken. Yes, the courts will do what they have to do. And you see, it's another knock for the judiciary. A judge that's allegedly not in town issued an ex parte order. I don't know how that works. I don't know the details, so I don't want to talk about that matter yet. But it was said that the man was not even in town at the time the ex parte order was. So because for a judge to issue an ex parte order, at least you have to sign the order. But let's not delve into that for now. But it tells you basically that people are desperately trying to hold on to their positions. My pain is that while they are playing all these games, they are destroying the bonds that existed between all of these emirs who are basically from the same extended family. It's sad.
Playing politics with families. All right. We have the federal government approaching the Supreme Court with a suit seeking to compel governors of the 36 states of the Federation to grant full autonomy to the local governments in their domain. Also, that they want a court order prohibiting state governors from unilateral, arbitrary, and unlawful dissolution of democratically elected local government leaders for local governments. I mean, we've seen how the powers of the local government has been whittled down to nothing. Meanwhile,
It doesn't
that's where
exist
the
anymore. They
strength.
don't have any powers anymore. Not just whittled down. The powers have all but been taken away. They actually had this. Sorry that I jumped in, but for once, I was excited by a move made by the Tinubu administration. This is, to me, probably the most important thing that they have done right, straight up. That is trying to protect the local government system. And I think they should accompany that with amending the constitution to remove local government elections from states. Because this case is a no-brainer for the federal government to win for obvious reasons. They're just saying affirm the position of the constitution and stop the abuses that states have been perpetrating in the local government system. So by the time they are done with this case, the next thing that will happen is that the governors will be very careful to choose persons who are practical automatic stamps, not even rubber stamps. The kind of stamp that when the paper approaches, it will suck the paper and stamp it for you. Now, how are they going to do that? They are going to put men and women who have practically no ability to provide leadership and who will consider it a huge privilege to be there. So the proper thing to do also is to remove their power to choose local government chairman, because they don't conduct elections and they practically choose them. So after removing their power to abuse the finances, we should also remove the power to choose. We don't like the way INEC has been performing, but they are better than the State Electoral Commission. So we should probably take this thing to INEC and then help INEC by removing some other responsibilities like logistics and all of that. We've been talking about it. That is, unbundle some responsibilities, prosecution of offenders, logistics and all that. But let them conduct core elections for local government. They were doing it before. It wasn't states that were conducting elections before. So when we get this court case done with, and we are also able to amend the constitution to make it clear that the states shouldn't set up electoral commissions for local government elections, then we can begin to have serious electoral contests at the local government level. And then people who are able to provide leadership will emerge, collect their allocation, and open up the local government areas. And then we can say that, yes, we have a federal republic with 3 tiers of government. Presently, we have 2. Maybe 2 1/4. I don't even know if it's local government is up to 1/4, but we don't have 3. And that is what the federal government is seeking to restore. And it's like music in my ears. I'm sure the governors will be smarting from this move, but then makes a lot of sense. The president, when he was governor of Lagos State, had a run-in with Obasanjo about local government-related matters. So I'm sure it's a matter he's well-versed in. He believes that people should have access to governance at the grassroots. That's why he even created more for Lagos. But what we have here is that the states have abused local governments. One of the things we are not even thinking about is that the Constitution makes a provision for not only the federal government to give money to the local government, even the states are supposed to support the local government financially. That is the provision of the constitution. Unfortunately, we see the reverse, where the state will practically collect all the money from the local governments and use the money for whatever purpose they like. And that's not acceptable. And for me, this is a kudos to the federal government. I hope they will not go and have a settlement that will defeat the purpose of that case. I want them to go ahead with the case, and let's see how it works out. And then we can get some kind of reprieve at the rural level.
All right.
It's a good move.
Let's see how that plays out. Of course, the governors are not going to take it lying low. They're going to be very, very,
They
very
can't do
upset.
much now. They can't do much, but let's see what they will do. They can't do much. These people are just saying, declare that what the constitution said should be done. Let's see how they are going to now go to tell Supreme Court that what the constitution said doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, if you give money to local government, they should use their money. All these joint accounts, all sorts of crooked ways of stealing the money that is supposed to be due to local government, it doesn't make sense. That's what the federal government is saying. It doesn't make sense. So you should let them use their funds. My fear is that by the time this is done with and they don't have a favorable outcome, they will get puppets. In fact, they will probably get mannequins to become local government chairman so that they will just still do the same thing through the person.
Exactly,
So
because
we should ensure that they don't even have that privilege moving forward.
Mr. Larry, that's also another concern of mine, right? Even after the powers, should be given to the local governors or local government chairmen at this point, what exactly is the I don't know the what's used to qualify what I'm trying to say. What's that thing that we know that these chairmen are going to do with the monies, what they should be doing? Because corruption is it's eating way deep into our policy and our politicking and all that politics. So what is the confirmation that these chairmen are going to do with those monies judiciously, what they are supposed to be doing?
We don't have to have a confirmation to do the right thing. But I know that it's easier to hold a local government chairman accountable than it is to hold the governor and the president. The bigger they become, the more powerful they become, and the more they find a way to oppress their people. The local government chairmen are people we know. They are from our local government. We have more access to them. It's easier for us to check the local government allocation and put it out in their faces and say, see, son, where is our money? This Aliyu son, where is our money? You have not done any covert here. We have not. It's easier to manage what happens in a local government, actually. So when this whole thing is done properly, we are going to get to the next task of doing two things. One is trying to fix the political system so that credible persons can contest for local government chairmanship and win elections. So we stop selection by state government. And then two, we teach the people, and today we publish the allocations unlike before. And that's a huge step. So when you get the allocation that accrues to a local government, then you can easily follow up on the developments. It's not that there won't be corruption, but we can at least follow them up. EFCC is still there. We'll remind them clearly that, I mean, if we follow the money and they steal our money, they are not as influential as the governors and all of those people. So some of them, by the time they go to Abuja and then they are dragged around at EFCC office, and then some of them will do time in jail. Maybe same people will contest and win, and then the system will correct itself. I understand your fears, but then the governors that steal the money still steal it for and practically swallow it like the snakes that swallow money in Nigeria. So whether it's the governor that swallowed it or the local government chairman that swallowed it, the same swallow. But we can better manage local government chairman. We can hold them accountable more easily. So I think it's a good move, all in all.
All right. I think that's pretty much it that we have this morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, for your time.
It's my pleasure, and I hope that We are all listening to the voice of the people. When we get to that point, please find a way to hold your local government chairman accountable. Once they bring the money down, follow the money, follow the projects, do your own accounting so that if your money disappears, you tell the man to produce it. If he doesn't produce it, we'll tell EFCC. We'll actually have to learn to follow the money and hold our leaders accountable so that we can fix this democracy and make it work. That is why we should all take the voice of the people seriously. Thank you, Gacy, for doing what you did, and enjoy your week. It's going to be a great week for you and for everybody listening to us.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry, and have a good one. All right, to you listening, thank you so much for being a part of the morning ride. This is the front page review on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. My name is Gesere. Coming up at 8:30 is the sports bit. Good morning.